Oh, okay. Did we lose everybody? Oh, there we go. We're live.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to today's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and today my guest is one of our GCC board members, Dr. Chris Walker. Hey, Dr. Chris.
Hey, Kathy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing awesome. Near perfect, right? That's how it goes.
Near perfect. I love it. I love those words. I love what those words mean and what they kind of reinforced for so many of us during those days of listening to Dr. Sid say that, because it reminded you that you're doing great. You don't have to be perfect, but you're near perfect and you're doing a great job, and keep moving in the right direction.
Yep. Well, there's only one perfect person probably ever to walk this earth. And from him, we all know who that is. And, I think Dr. Sid, when he always said it, it means that you're constantly on a journey. I like how Vince Lombardi, Nick Saban even says something similar to it, that you chase perfection knowing you never catch it, and you hope that you'll get greatness along the way.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really good. But, that's, I think, what sets so many chiropractors apart, first and foremost from others in the profession, because I'm in some of these, or, on social media, I can see some of these groups of a lot of chiropractors who are asking questions that don't even sound like chiropractic. They don't even resemble anything that was taught in chiropractic school, or probably in most chiropractic schools. But these are the things that they're doing, to add to their practice. Or the people that I see in these women's groups that are constantly asking, I'm burned out. What else can I do to make money? Or what's a good passive income? Or what can I do other than chiropractic? And that thought of, there may come a time where you say, like, I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to step back from practice, or I'm ready to be retired in practice. But to say, I can't do this anymore, what could I do to make money? Right? It's such a mental aspect to be looking for something to make money versus what is it that's going to fulfill you? What is it that's going to really give you purpose and make you happy on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's actually, to me, I think people actually decide to go down that road. They're actually making things more complicated, and they end up usually spending more money that they don't have chasing something that doesn't really exist. Like, when somebody, we see it now more with social media than ever, right? Like, you go to you're a chiropractor, your ads, just say Facebook, I'm sure Instagram's the same way, that you just, you're flooded with stuff that say, hey, try this, add this to your office, add this to your office. We'll add $100,000 to your practice in 3 months. There's always this constant thing, but they don't tell you that they're going to add you. First of all, it's going to cost you $40,000 to add into your practice, and of course you don't have that, so you're taking that on credit, and then usually it's at a nasty APR, right? So you're never really buying it down, and then you're trying to sell something in your practice that's not what you were designed to do. Like, it's the easiest thing I've always said, whenever I deal with any students or new doctors and they talk about being success, I always remind them that any problem that we have in practice, whether the financial problem that we have in practice, can be very easily fixed. All it takes is a few new patients and the problem is fixed. Get some new patients, treat them with love, deliver the goods at a reasonable rate, and they will refer and you will succeed. And it is so much easier to grow 25, 30, 50 visits a week or a month or whatever it is that you're trying to add that little extra than try to add something else and dilute our profession, and dilute your original message. Mm-hmm. And then you're just walking uphill.
But I think to so many people, it looks like those quick fixes are going to work. Like, if I do something different, that will attract people. And then I'll take those people and I'll get them into this pool of patients. But the amount of time, energy, money, and effort you have to do over here, if you put that effort right there, what could you produce?
And chances are you don't even have to put that much effort. Right. You want to put half that effort you got to put into that new thing, just in focusing on your patients, telling them the story, asking them to refer, and doing all the things you probably did in your first couple of years of practice when you were really, really hungry that you don't do now. We have a new doc that joined our practice, Dr. Obi, and he's doing great. But one of the greatest things, I was talking to Waste Butt last night, and he said, "So what's one of the biggest things impacts he's having in your practice?" And I said, "This is going to sound almost a little conceited." I said, "But the patients are now getting a better version of me that they probably haven't seen in a couple of years."
Right.
Really, because I know I have eyes watching me. I'm making sure that I'm teaching him our ways of doing things. And as we're going through those teaching stages, I realized, oh my gosh, I stopped doing A, B, and C. When did I stop doing A, B, and C?
Right. Right. You step up your game.
Yeah.
It
just
forces you.
Planting the seeds, all the little stuff. And it's been our best year ever already to start. It's been amazing.
But I think when you've been in practice for a long time, and I will speak for myself, you get comfortable.
Of course.
Right?
Everybody gets the fat cat syndrome.
Right. You get the fat cat syndrome. I've always said, comfort sucks. I teach at gym. So I'm always like, get out of your comfort zone. Yet I walk into the office and I'm like, oh, it feels good to sit down after a bunch of patients. You know what I mean? I'm not going to a luncheon. I'm not going to a networking group. I paid my dues. I did my time. Right. We have a tendency to get comfortable or get complacent or just take things for granted, or we get into a routine. And a lot of times getting into a routine means everything that we did to build our practice in the first place, then we got busy enough that we didn't have time to do that stuff. So we stopped doing it. It's not our habit anymore.
Yeah.
And then we look at our practice and go, what happened? I was on this great trajectory and then it just leveled out or it dipped down. And we forget to look back at the things that we did to get us in the place where we wanted to be the first time.
100%. Yeah. And you got to change and adapt because the times, times change.
Right.
The things that you did at the beginning of your practice to get new patients isn't the same things we did 15 years ago is not what we do today.
Right.
15 years ago, I had all kinds of newspaper ads and direct mailings. Well, now that's just kind of a waste of money. Now it's all this other stuff.
Yeah. I used to write articles in 6 magazines every month.
Yeah.
Right. Every month. Because that was the big thing.
I get asked to do it all the time. I'm asked to even do it now for we'll cut your ads in half if you want to do them. That's great. Nobody reads it.
I get the magazines and I feel guilty. I should at least look at them because I used to write for these, but I don't. Yeah. I don't want somebody else's information coming into my brain. I want to filter what I want. And I think a lot of people are the same way. It's not just one source of information anymore. They can decide they want information from here or from there or just from family or friends or just from wherever. So you can't hit all those places, but if you know who you want to attract and where they shop or what they read or where they hang out or what sports or activities or clubs they're involved with, then target that. But be more specific now, where I think 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was easy to just say, oh, the community magazine. Who reads it anymore?
True.
Don't know.
Now it is so insane. We're about to do some specific marketing for Dr. Obi, to welcome him to the area. She's only been a couple months, just to give him a little more foundation, is to get him running a little faster. And it's amazing when I sat down with this one new guy that I'm dealing with, and he's like, so how pinpointed do we want to get? And it's amazing and crazy. They're like, do you want this zip code, this person, this street? They can go street level and just flood the internet on certain neighborhoods. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Right. And to think, I love how Sharon Gorman, which, most of us here in Georgia know Sharon very well. She talked about how when she first got into practice, she took out an ad in the Yellow Pages.
Oh, yeah. I had one of those. I was on the last very ages when we first started. The Yellow Pages were still the certain generation over 60.
Right.
They didn't have smartphones yet, had them. We did it for 3 years and realized nobody's using them. It's not worth because they were still charging, 19
fortune. Right. And kids don't even know to sit on a phone book anymore. They look at you like, what are you talking about? Sit on a phone book.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Sharon is her uncle, who is a chiropractor, called her up and said, how you doing? She said, I'm growing. I'm doing great. I'm doing all this stuff. And the interesting part of the whole thing, her ad never ran. It never ran in the Yellow Pages. And she grew because she put an ad. And that was her takeaway was, you know what? Because my intention was there.
100%.
Right. And so I think sometimes in practice, what is your intention when you walk in? I recently had my back door painted. I did this whole thing and I had a patient come and just paint the whole back door so that when I pull up to the back of my building, this is what I see before I walk in. Some people talk about wiping your hands off, wiping your feet off. I have this door that I pull up and it just lights up my heart, and it puts me in the right frame of mind to walk in and serve in the way that I want to serve at this point in my career, this point in my life, this point in my motherhood, because the intention is there. But what is our intention when we walk in the office some days? And if it's not right, I'll be the first one to say there's days I've walked in the office and I will admit to my staff, they'll admit to me, my intention's not in the right place.
100%.
Right. So how do we
really appreciates when you actually own your peep, because they look at you and go, oh, okay. He understands that sometimes he's the problem.
Right. And
it's
so
not always us.
what is your trick? Yeah. What do you do when you're off?
I walk in every morning. It starts, of course, when we get in the car, my morning prayer, my morning devotion. And I start with God, bring us the worst of your worst. So we can reconnect with the ability to give each one of us to heal ourselves. Let me be that vessel. So that's the first thing as we're pulling out of our driveway. And typically it's my son's in the car with us. And then we ask us to be better men, be better fathers, better followers of him, sisters, brothers, whatever we are. And then we pray for those that are sick, and we pray for those that are struggling, staying in the darkness. And then, of course, we say good morning to my two angels in heaven. And then we get to the office. It's pretty quiet. My son now, used to talk back and forth. Now he's, a teenager. But then when we get to the office, it's been really walking through, is taking a deep breath. Anything that's going on, maybe at home or outside, it's like, all right, take a deep breath, get out of the truck, and literally I do the hat off and throw it on a hook, and I walk through the door and get present time conscious in my doctor mode. And then I look at my schedule, and if it's not where I want it to be, I'll close my eyes and I'll pray and I'll envision where I want it to be at the end of the day. And if it's we're only at 90 today, and I'm like, well, no, we should be. There's no reason why we're not should be 120. It's with 4 new ones, because you know what? It's 85 degrees out. There's no rain. There's no nothing. There should be no reason why stopping in it except for us. And I will then typically walk off if the day doesn't look right and tell my staff, hey guys, what do you think it is? And I'm my newer staff has gotten really, really, really great with the whole intention thing. And sometimes they'll shock me and go, no, we think it could be this. And we place it out there, and we're all on the same page that, hey, this is what we're envisioning in our head. We're going to envision this. And what this crazy thing is? 8 out of 10 times, not all the time, but 8 out of 10 times, we hit those numbers or exceed them. A perfect example was last Monday. We had thunderstorms, and typically in our office, and, we talk about mindset, right? That if it starts raining, the day goes, and throughout the day, we're fine. But if it's pretty sunny in the morning, the afternoon starts raining, we tend to have a lot more, no-shows, reschedules. And it started to do that, at 10 o'clock, it started getting nasty. So the day started off pretty. And then I'm like, you know what, guys, we're not buying that today. We're not buying that. We're not buying that. We're not buying it. Nobody think about it. Everybody is okay getting wet. And you know what? We had our best rainy day ever.
Wow.
We had instead of having 20 reschedules, we had 20 walk-ins.
Love that.
They didn't care. They came in sopping wet, oh my God, I needed to get here,
Right. I couldn't wait till you were open.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love that, because I really do believe in, the law of attraction. I know you do as well. And it's what you put out there, right? Wherever your head goes, your heart goes. Whatever you put your attention to is what you get, right? When you focus on, right. And one of the things I try to remind my kids all the time, because now my daughter's about to be 14, my son is 15, what you think about, you bring about. Mm-hmm. Right. And so if you think about lack, if you think about negativity, if you think about, some kid at school doesn't like you, if you think about patients aren't going to come in, if you think about my staff isn't going to do their job, if you think about they're not collecting money, whatever you think about, you bring about. And when you shift that level of thinking to what you really want to attract, and then, you don't just think it and that's it. You work toward that, and everything you do filters in that direction. Watch what happens.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, typically 8 out of 10 times. And here's another trick that I learned. I stole this from Tony Ann Satilli. She did it at D with one of her talks probably about 18 months ago. And it was life-changing for me for when those days are not being really good, or found yourself into, because it happens, right? You start here, patient got you mad, maybe a staff made you mad, maybe it's something at home, like letting it creep back in. That I'll do literally, we'll walk in my back office, I'll say a quick little prayer, and then I will just circle around 3 times, jumping up and down, yelling, cancel, 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 and restarting my head and my heart at the same time, and go out. And I've done it more than once with our staff when I felt like the whole vibe just sucked.
Right.
At lunchtime, I'd be like, or at the end of a shift for the next day, be like, all right, guys, everybody in the lobby. And the 9 of us are in the lobby they're jumping up and down, doing circle, circle. We're yelling, cancel. I'm like, we're leaving that bad juju here.
Yep. So I will tell you, there's something that I did about a year-ish ago, maybe like January, February last year. I went away with a couple women. We went up and got a cabin up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and then some snowstorm was coming. So I brought everything up there with us to make vision boards, which I will admit, I really never made one. I've had it in my mind, but I've never actually made one. And I have a lot of friends who do this on a regular basis, who I've looked at theirs and been like, wow, that's amazing. And they've manifested things. So we started to do it. We got ice coming. We left. So a couple weeks later, I sat down by myself and I did this vision board. Do you know, I have it hanging next to the bed. So when I wake up, do my cervical, traction, I'm laying there and I'm looking at it upside down. The last 2 weeks, I've really stopped and looked at it, and every single thing without fail, every single thing I put on that vision board, and I just glance at it, has already or is coming true in the next couple weeks.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Right. So it really is, you have the power. We all do. You have the power to create the life of your dreams, to create the opportunities that you want, to attract the patients that, best serve your practice, that are like the right representation of who you want to spend your days caring for, right? You have the ability to impact your community, or be a great parent, or be a great child to your own parent, right? You have that ability when you put your desire, your attention, and your intention on that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, another little example of, I don't know if I can take this off. So whenever we have goals, so this is our goal where we're trying to get to now. And we'll place them all around the office in places that we can only see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned whenever we do those goals, it's not where we, used to have like certain ones, like, I'm like, no, let's go higher than that. So we're not always focused just on that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that goal and that move forward.
Right. Yep. We used to do the same thing on the front desk. I had a number and I had how many a day. And I think it was it RJ who would say 5 a day, 2 prepay? It was either RJ or right. And we had that on the board. And there was a time where from one DE to the next, we doubled the practice.
Yeah.
From that DE to the next, we doubled the practice, like that fast, because of who we were at the time, because of who we were as a team, right? Because of the staff, because of the, what we were doing, what we were saying, what we were thinking about and talking about, and how we were vibrating. And I'm here to tell you that if that's your goal, if your goal is to grow your practice, you can do that. If your goal is to simplify your life, you can do that, right? If your goal is to balance, and I really don't say balance, I say present time consciousness, but if your goal is to be, family or personal life and practice life and have a good mix of all that, you can do whatever it is you desire. You just got to get it clear in your mind first, clear in your surroundings, so that you can see it, smell it, feel it, taste it, touch it before it even happens. And then you just work toward that goal.
Yeah, 100%. And build the infrastructure underneath, right?
Right.
So like the one thing I've learned, like, when you're younger in practice, you have more time than money. When you're older in practice, if you think everything's going well, you have more money than you do have time. So you try to balance that out. So how we balance it out is I make sure the only thing I do now in the office is educate and adjust. I have someone else to take care of everything else in the office. Educate and adjust. And that way, when I walk out the door, I'm not worried about anything else, so that I can be a better father and husband, that I can have some more time for myself and the things that I'm not, we do have downtime. I'm not running around doing all this other stuff that I easily just have someone come and do.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
so
brilliant.
there's the work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the busier we get, the more vacations we've been taking and the more time off.
And isn't that interesting how that works? Because I know a lot of people
Yeah.
think, oh, I'm so busy, I can't take a vacation. For me, if I don't take vacations, I affect everything negatively, right? Because I'm not stopping and sharpening the axe. You have to stop and sharpen the axe.
You have to. And the next other thing that you have to do, I think a lot of people do, is they end up living on this Cairo island by themselves. They don't connect. Right? Maybe because they don't connect to people around in their town or something, which is why the GCC, why we do these kind of things like me and you are doing, right? That's why we added continuing ed all around the country. And we try to not just we try to build bonds and community. I mean, that's why I go to DE 4 times a year. It's why I do my Band of Brothers call every Monday night. Because if not, our love cup gets empty. And if we're not filling it up, then we feel like we're less, and we give our patients less, and then it starts this whole downward cycle, and then we go to where we started is people look for something else because they don't think chiropractic's enough.
Right.
And they think that chiropractic failed them being a successful person, when it's the opposite. If you serve people through chiropractic care and you focus just on taking care of them, we put these numbers and stuff. They're not for. We have to focus on something, right? In business, you can either focus on money, you can focus on numbers. We focus on numbers because I always feel if we make the numbers, we do what we're supposed to do, our part. God takes care of everything else, and He always has. And then and the money part, the abundance part will follow right along. It might be a little bit of delayed compared to where we are, but it always happens every single time. And we always make sure everybody around us that's part of our team grows with us.
Right.
And that's one thing. If you're not doing, you see a lot of turnovers, make sure your team is part of your success.
Right. Don't make them work harder.
Yes.
Just so that you could feel more successful, have more time, and they're not vested into it. Yeah, I agree. You know what? I think we did a great job today.
Okay. Me too.
We're right where we need to be. I think, plugging back into how do you do what you do and do it better, and why do we do what we do? I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, but I think today really talking about this and talking about, focusing your intention and knowing what it is that you want to do.
The most important thing in practice is making sure that you clear the subluxation between your own ears.
Enough said.
Well, I love and appreciate you, darling.
Love and appreciate you too. Let's talk about some of the events we have coming up for GCC. So we have, of course, our summer CE is coming up in June. I believe that's the 22nd, 23rd. There we go. Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. We've got all those speakers you see up there on the screen. You're going to get your full 20 hours. This is a renewal year. I love to see that we've got docs coming from out of state coming down to speak for us. So that's awesome. But we've got that coming up. So go ahead and register for that on our website, georgiachiropractic.org. Then we've got CE going on throughout the summer. We're going to be down in Savannah when we come down.
That'll be in November. We'll be here in Augusta, my hometown.
Augusta in August. That's how I remember
August.
Yep.
We have our lineup is coming together. We're going to have a really, really August 10th and 11th. And we're going to have a really great program. We've got a lot of new faces for if your people are local to the Augusta area or the surrounding areas. Because we're the closest for about an hour to hour and a half for people. And then, of course, we got our Chiro Cup happening on September 13th. It's actually happening on a Friday, which will be awesome. You guys can actually make a little bit of a weekend out of it and not have to worry about closing in the middle of the week. It used to be on a Thursday. So make things a little bit easier. If the Marion City Club's a fun little course. If you've never played it, I've played it a few times. Looking forward to that. And it's close to life. So even if students out there should want to come play with us, that would be awesome. And then we have another one in the end of August. If that's the South Georgia one, if I remember correctly, continuing it.
Yes. Yep. So all of our events are on our website, georgiachiropractic.org, or you can go to chirocup.com to get the information for the golf tournament. But we'd love to get you registered if you've got sponsors or you have anything you want to donate for raffles. If you want to put up some flyers in your office for your patients to get registered, we would greatly appreciate that. This way we can help have a successful golf tournament, help raise money for chiropractic research and for public awareness campaigns. So with that being said, Dr. Chris, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, and I'll see you soon, darling.
See you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.